Happy to be joined with my very special guest this week, actress Seanna Pereira. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. As we were saying off air, thank you for taking the time to do this interview. And your publicist, Lori, who I've now known for, I think, around 2 or so years now, sent me your bio and was absolutely blown away by it. Like, I think you've done more than I have at 33 years old, so I'm a little jealous, but I'm glad to be talking with you.
Me too. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So I wanted to ask, because, with you getting into this industry at such a young age, you had to know pretty early that was what you wanted to do. So what was it that initially made you want to get into, acting and just performing in general?
So I started pretty much ever since I could talk. I loved I love being on stage in general. I love performing in front of an audience, and I actually started off singing, but then I discovered my love for performing, which then is kind of what led me into, I want to be an actress too. And I did my first movie at the age of 5, and it was a short film. And ever since I did that movie, I have known that I wanted to be an actress, and I've just stuck with it.
So when you got the role in your very first film, do you remember what your initial reaction was like when you got on set and you actually, started acting? How did you approach that as a 5-year-old? Because that's mind-blowing to me, because my only worry about at 5 years old was what video game I was going to play after school. So I can't imagine, having to play a character at 5 years old. So what was your mindset like to prep for that?
Well, the biggest thing that I remember is we shot like my scene like very early. I think it was like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I remember I was taking a nap. So then I was little and everything, and then I remember them waking me up, and I'm just like, I woke up with a smile on my face, so happy, and they were like, "Oh my God, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. She's so happy." I just remember like I was so excited. It was my first role, and I was just so excited. I'd never done anything like that before. So I was just excited. I was very excited to get to work with the director, and it was like a horror type of movie. So it was there was like this like thing with like a pump of like blood. I remember because in like the scene I was doing, and I remember just getting like startled by the blood. But overall, like I was really excited to do it.
So in your evolving career years later, and something that was the top thing that I wanted to ask you whenever this interview was set up, what do you do to keep challenging yourself, as you mature as a performer, as an actor, knowing that you've done it from a very early age up until now? What is it that keeps you going, and how do you keep motivating yourself to do it?
So every single role is different. Like every single audition, there's no character really that's the same. So I feel like that's definitely a big motivation, like getting to do different characters that are different or like completely opposite, because you're not doing the same thing over again. It doesn't get boring. So you just get to try out different things, and that's how like I grow as an actress, by trying out different roles of different characters that I might like never think I would be able to portray. But like once you do it, you get like you experience it, and I feel like just doing different roles and like different characters that are not similar, or that's definitely a thing that like challenges me and keeps me going.
Well, that seems to be the cool thing about being an actor or an actress, is that you get to play these different characters. Like in one movie, you could play this off-the-wall comedic character, and then the next you can play the victim of a horror film, or you can be the star of this really intense drama. So it's like you're stepping into a different world completely. So that's got to be really cool to be able to do something like that, and to really broaden your horizons and your acting abilities.
Yeah, it's really fun, especially like when I am acting and if I get a role in like this character, I get to kind of like put myself into the character and like kind of like go like through life like as the character in the movie or like the television show or whatever it is. So it's really cool to get to just do different things and portray different roles and people.
Well, it's cool that you've been able to do that even so early in your career. Because I watched your demo reel on IMDb, and the thing that jumped out to me the most was I believe it was clips from the movie Enchanted Ruby when you
Yes.
when you were doing the concert scenes that was like in a school or whatever. That actually looked like it was really fun to do.
Yeah, that was a really fun scene to do, definitely, because we got to actually like be on stage and dance to the song, and I got to sing, which was also really nice because I love singing. But yeah, that was definitely like one of the best, like most fun scenes to film of the movie was like just me being able to like be on stage dancing and having fun.
Out of all the various types of roles that you've played, is there one that really stands out to you as far as being a favorite? And as you progress through your career, are there any roles that you would like to do that you haven't done yet?
I don't really have a favorite because I feel like I wouldn't be able to because a lot of them are all so different, especially the different genres. Um, I love I love doing different genres. So I love doing comedies, but I also love dramatic things. That's kind of what I like do the most, like dramatic movies or television shows. So I definitely would like to do more of those. Like I like those types of dramatic or like horror um movies or television shows. I think they're like a great like role to play and like definitely challenge me.
Yeah, it seems from what because I've personally only made one film in my very very early career, and it was a drama, and I did not
Right.
I did not envy the actors of having to draw from intense roles because I had done some acting classes as well, and it seems maybe it's one of those things that's not for me, but I gained a lot of respect for acting in general because you have to portray sometimes very intense emotions, and
Yes,
you're
definitely.
very vulnerable. You're putting yourself out there
Very.
for the audience. So I respect
Exactly.
anyone who even ventures into acting. So definitely props to you for that.
Yeah, definitely it can be hard like in the dramatic roles, especially like you have to cry or you have to like put out all these emotions. But yeah, I love doing it. I think it's a like great thing, a great like roles and like great genre to do. It's definitely the most like at least for me like one of the hardest and most intense ones for sure.
And kind of backtracking a little bit, you had mentioned that you love to sing. Is
Yes.
there anything that is that something that you loved early on in your life as well as singing?
Yeah, definitely. That's along with acting at a young age. That's another thing. Like singing, I would sing. I sang at rodeos all across Florida. I sang at different sporting events. I sang for the Miami Marlins. I sang like all around the country, like the national anthem.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that at a very young age too. And I loved like singing as well as acting. I also have an album coming out, which is fun, like a pop album, which is really exciting too.
Oh, cool. And when does that come out?
We don't have an exact date yet, but it's hopefully soon. I'm working on it right now, so definitely in the near future.
That's awesome. No, it's really cool, especially that you can branch off into another career because you think of so many others that have done acting but have also done other types of acting, whether it's stage, film, television, and then venture off to music and do other professions. So that's cool that you're able to do not just one dream but another.
Right. I think it's definitely good, especially when there's like an acting role with singing in it, like the Enchanted Ruby had that. I love doing those because I get to do both the things I love in one. But yeah, I think singing is also definitely a big part and definitely something I want to do alongside acting.
Well, who knows? Maybe other roles will come along where you can actually be able to do both.
Yeah, that would be good.
Because I know with musicals are a very popular genre. Whether it's
Right.
on stage or even some of the film musicals as well. So
Mhm.
and that honestly seems like it would be a blast to do, like to either choreograph or perform in some type of musical number for a film. Just seems like it would be a blast.
It's really fun. Very fun to do singing and acting together.
So, as we start to wrap up our conversation here, do you have any other film projects in the works that you'd want to talk about?
Yeah, sure. I actually just finished a movie. It's called Deadman Run, and it was a dramatic movie. It was definitely challenging though at first. It was very intense, lots of action, which is pretty like I've never done a movie like that before. So it was really great. It was a great experience. And I also had to learn how to like shoot a gun because my character was like had to like survive on her own, and it was it was a really fun film to shoot. And I got to meet a lot of great people on set, and it was it was a great film, and I hope everyone sees it.
I have to ask, how was the learning process of learning how to shoot a gun?
It was a little bit difficult at first because I was like, I've never shot a gun, but they had someone there that was like specialized in guns, and they are the ones who taught me, and they just had to like teach me like all about the different parts of the gun. Obviously safety is key, so they taught me all about gun safety, and it was great. It's good to learn about that in general. So it was, and I also learned they taught me like self-defense, which is something that my character had to know. So I think it's even great for life to know that.
Oh, absolutely. And also, again, in reading your bio, you also have volunteered for events hosted by the Ryan Seacrest Foundation, especially in children's hospitals.
Yeah.
What was it that inspired you to want to do that, and what exactly do you do with the Ryan Seacrest Foundation?
So I've always just like had a soft spot for kids in general that are like sick or battling any diseases, and that was also ever since I was like young. I used to go to hospitals and charities for like kids with cancer, and I would go to them and go just like talk to them, and I always loved doing that. And so I started with the Ryan Seacrest Foundation, and what we do is I would go there and they would interview me on the radio show, and they would show my movie actually. And what's great about it is the movie would play and the kids could see it in their hospital rooms, so they could like put on the specific channel and they were able to see it in their rooms and just watch it. And then they would come and we would do like a little meet and greet, so I would get to meet them and talk to them and like sign autographs. And I also talked with them on the radio show, and we just had fun together and danced. And yeah.
That's fantastic. You look at stories, whether you read them on social media or you see them on the news, and you see people who use their notoriety to spread the wealth and the love to other people who are less fortunate. So that's really cool for you to do that.
Right.
But last question I wanted to ask you before you get out of here. So normally this is where I ask, what type of advice would you have to an aspiring actor, whatever the genre is or occupation is of the person that I'm talking to. But knowing what you know now, if you could go back in time to your 5-year-old self, what kind of advice would you give them in order to prep for their career?
I would give the advice to myself that it's not all like a smooth way, like you just you audition once and you just get that role and then like that's it, your career takes off. There's a lot of rejection involved, and like you're gonna get rejected, but I think the biggest thing is just to keep going because you never know when you're going to get that one role. So that's what I keep auditioning, and if you get rejected, it's okay. Like, keep on going. It's not a one night thing that you magically just like you become a famous actress the next day. Just like not to give up, keep going, and yeah, don't stop because you never know when you're going to walk into that audition and get a role that will change your life.
I think that's fantastic advice. Well, Seanna, thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview. This was really fascinating, and happy to talk with you.
Thank you so much.